Hello. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Voice in the Hollow. I am your host, Miguel Ortega, and this is my lovely co-host, Tran. How's everybody doing? Well, yeah, welcome back. This is episode 1058. And when we'll have a course from Ortega and Tran. We've had courses from Ortega for 10 years at Gnomon, so, and from Tran, maybe 3 years. Yeah, a few years. So we teach at Gnomon. The majority of what is it? I guess the generalist track. Is there a generalist track? They graduate through Gnomon, go through me for the demo reel class and for the look dev class. And Tran teaches texture 4 and texture 2. It's more than texturing. It's kind of everything. Yeah. So, well, thank you guys for coming back. So this week has been pretty hectic for us. A lot of learning For those of you that don't know what we're doing, we're basically doing an animated Swahili, not a horror, it's not a horror, it's more like a messed up fable in Unreal Engine. A Dark Tale in Unreal Engine 5. We are not Unreal 5 experts when we started this, and I don't think we are still, but we gotten better. Yeah. So, hold on. I can't hear you very well, Tran.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. There we are. Sorry.
So, yeah. So, can you repeat what you said?
Yes. So our background is in film. So we do not have a gaming background at all. And we've been working in film for a long time. And what we're trying to do is move our process into Unreal, since now it can support a VFX pipeline, but it's very new to us, and I think very new to the industry in general.
Yeah. Someone asked, what mocap are you using? We're using Xsense Awinda. So yeah, so we're doing all this stuff in Unreal. We've been showing like the progress. So this is like one of the sequences that we wrapped up recently. I played again for the 1 millionth time for those just that haven't seen it.
Except for the first shot.
Yeah, the first shot is not done. So, hold on 1 second. Wait a minute. What am I doing here? There we go. So, why is this still taking up the full screen? There we go. All right, so that's what we've been doing. And right now we're getting towards the end. So we're at this, we're calling like the murder sequence. And yeah, we're trying to be done as soon as possible. This week we had to figure out how to do some stuff that we had very little documentation, or there's very little documentation of, which is when will we see it on Netflix? We'll see. Like for example, one of the things we wanted to figure out is we are planning to do and actively doing like these really crazy Houdini simulations, which I could show you some of them in a second. And they're just getting crazier and crazier. The problem is
it's not very easy to put it in Unreal.
Yeah, so Unreal has a 2-point-something gigabyte limit on your Alembic, gigabyte limit on your Alembic files. Everything after that just crashes it out, it seems. And these things are like 9 gigs. They're just monstrosities.
Yeah, 9 gigs is probably not even that big when you think about these type of simulations and how large those files get. They're probably like really, really huge.
Yeah. So that's a problem because I think one of the ones we got was like 9 gigs and we just couldn't bring it in at all. So how are we going to do that? So we saw that there was this one feature. It's in the plugins. It's very poorly documented. I mean, there's no documentation on it, which is Alembic, Alembic streaming, which basically means it's reading the Alembic file off the disk. It's not reading it. It's not converting it to its own proprietary format. And I think that's where it usually crashes. I think.
So like in our typical pipeline, Alembic's never been a problem. Like once you made the Alembic, you render it or whatever, and it runs fine because usually it's referencing the file. Whereas where Unreal is different in the sense that it's trying to import it and make it part of the project. And then that's where it gets very slow. So where we've not had problems before, we now have more problems to figure out.
Yeah. It's really unstable though. So we're gonna get into that in the next coming weeks. We're gonna have two of our friends that are helping us on the Houdini side come in, and we'll talk about how we got everything to work. Dakota and Misha, it has been tricky, and it's nowhere as stable as just bringing in Alembics directly into Sequencer and importing them into its Unreal format.
I would think it's pretty unstable. I mean, we had those fog media cards. It isn't like that. So, and
Yeah, the
those
fog media cards were a nightmare.
and they're tiny, the files.
Yeah.
So
So it's so bad that you can't even tell if it's working until you render it, and then it shows up. Very unstable, but whatever. That's what we needed to do. The other thing is we started working on like the very last scene or sequence in the film, which is when they fall into the actual hole. This is some of the few things that we're doing with hand animation and not motion capture, because we obviously couldn't throw.
well, there's multiple reasons why we couldn't do
Yeah,
this.
we couldn't throw the actress into a hole,
And also our mocap suit can't really do it like that. Can't do space, right?
it could do something like this, but I mean, it'd be impossible. Like you'd have to land on a swing, and then that swing has to snap. It's just impossible. So
It would be impossible because as soon as you jump in the air, the character, it needs to have like that mocap system has to have contact with surfaces, right?
no, it's just not necessarily. I think it would work, but it wouldn't be as good as this
No, it wouldn't.
because it uses inertia, and it's yeah. But anyway, so that's that. So we're pretty happy with how that's starting to look. It's still in progress, but it's pretty cool. These were all the vines were rigged by Dominic, who recently graduated from Gnomon. He's a rigging artist, and he turned this around for us pretty quickly. He did a great job on the rig, and I'll try to get him on here so he could talk about how he rigged these things in the next few weeks. But yeah, he did a great job. You can see everything looks like it's really alive, all the vines and everything. So that's pretty cool. Pain in the ass to animate because of the vines. They just feel like they're being interacted with, and it's all just hand animated. So that's pretty great. So, another thing that we did this week is let me see if I can find this. Give me 1 second.
Yes, Snowman has very, very talented students.
Yeah, we have crazy talented students. They actually constantly keep us on our A game, because if you are not good there as a teacher, the students will be better than you really fast. So
Yeah.
yeah. So this week we also started working on doing a mask for our main character Koa. So this is how we usually come up with something. So you could see this was the original render. And what I really wanted is, obviously our logo is the symbol of the leopard mask. That mask represents like inclusion into the tribe, into the hunting party, actually. So it's a very important thing. And Koa doesn't have one. She's not part of that yet. She's still like a young girl. So I wanted to give her something that represented like her desires, what she wishes she was. So I'm like, let's try to make a really crappy looking mask. Looks
Yeah.
as
So the point was intentionally crappy.
intentionally crappy.
Yeah.
And so did that, and then Tran beautifully built this thing out. You can see it looks just like the concept. the fangs were colored, which I think are great detail. And then this was a process. So at first there wasn't a little triangle for the nose, there wasn't the whiskers. But as we started seeing it, we thought, oh, it'd look cooler if it had that stuff. So
Yeah, it took a little bit. I mean, it's not technically difficult, but story-wise, just trying to figure what that looks like and how to make that look cute, or at least we try to make it cute.
Yeah, we also wanted to make sure that you could tell who it was between the two girls. So I didn't want to hide all their expressions. So making the holes for the eyes very large and also showing a little bit of the lip. So we could have hidden that and made our lives much easier for lip syncing, but I didn't want that. I also like the idea that when she talks, like you could see the teeth moving a little bit. You could even see it there a bit, just when she moves her mouth, how the fabric is adjusting. So that's pretty cool. So let's just play this little section here that we're working on. There's two shots missing here where she looks over to her father. So some of the subtitles are going to feel a little weird. You also get to notice here, let me pause this for a second, that some of this section here is very inconsistent. So she's going to have clothing in 1 second. She's not going to have it another second. She's going to have a mask for one shot, and then she's not going to have it for the others. She's going to have Ala that's going to appear later. She's going to have the mask up in some of them, down in others. We're figuring out, remember, we're moving forward while we're figuring things out. So everything is mixed and matched and incorrect at the moment.
Yeah, this one doesn't have the
lighting is not correct. It doesn't have any polish. So from this point on, super rough, super crappy, but it doesn't matter. The only thing we care about at this point is
it's
all
more
the story.
It's more like
sense.
previs, but previs that we can polish.
Yeah.
Sasa najua ninachotaka.
Hold on, let me do something before it. There's this bug in Premiere that is so unbearable that you have to enable and disable this, or else you're going to get those stupid splash, those messages saying your content is not loaded. It's really terrible. And it's just in this latest version of Premiere. So you sometimes have to render the footage a bunch of times, which is it's really
it loses it a lot, right?
All the time.
It wasn't like that before, no.
No, this is the latest update. Like if they don't fix this quick, I'm gonna shift over to DaVinci because it's just a waste of time. Because you have to constantly be rendering this stuff all the time. And then the thing is, you'll render it. Now I have to disable all the footage again and enable it. That's the workaround for this bug. We haven't seen. I haven't seen Arcane, so definitely not that. And Spider-Man. I think we're just like crappy Halloween masks.
What references are you using for references to make this texture? It looks like Spider-Man Metaverse Arcane. How many hours are you do you spend a day on a short film?
That's our life. We spend every second of our life on this.
Pretty much. We have no life. We just work and then eat and sleep.
Play that again.
Nani? Sasa najua ninachotaka.
kutafuta. Lazima twende sasa hivi.
Mkaka wako karibia unichome.
Sasa hivi. Ningetaka kukuchoma, ningekuchoma. Lazima twende.
Ngoja tuone kama utapenda.
Jaribu. Hata ungeanguka kutoka kwenye mti, hungegonga ardhi. Wewe si chui.
Tafadhali kaa kimya.
Kila mtu anakuchukia.
Na kuonya.
Wewe ni aibu kwa baba.
Why does it say the host muted your screen share? What is that?
Where does it say that?
It says it on my screen.
It was okay.
Okay. Okay, so maybe when I do the screen share, I shouldn't turn on the audio. The whatchamacallit, hold on one second.
So we're just having little technical hiccups that we are trying to fix right now.
So when I do this, does it echo?
Nataka kukuchoma, ningekuchoma. Lazima twende.
Ngoja tuone kama
Okay, so then I just have to make sure that it doesn't have system audio shared. Okay, that's easy. Wakanda language. It's not Wakanda language. It's Swahili. I don't know if that's what they're speaking
In Black Panther.
Black Panther, but ours is Swahili. All our actresses are in Kenya and Tanzania, so it's the real Wakanda. So yeah, so that's what we got so far. So you can see pretty fucked up.
tafadhali kaa kimya.
Kila mtu
So she would be wearing her little mask there.
na kuonya. Wewe ni aibu kwa baba.
So this is something we're trying to figure out, this balance, because we want it to be obvious that she has her eyes closed. Her arrogance is part of what makes her get killed. However, we need her to get stabbed with the mask on. Now, the way the mask works is it hovers over the face, right, when you lift it up. So we're going to have the spear come from above and push the mask into her face. So that's probably what we'll do. And then here, I'm going to have her raise the mask up and start smiling as the spear passes by, so that we understand where she raised the mask. Because I do want her to not show her face in the beginning, but I want her to show her face from this point on. So right here, boom, the mask goes up, spear is gone. This is going to be a nightmare.
There's no terrain.
No. So yeah, so now we got to get this part here going. So this, you can see, is just a play blast in Maya. So let's get that into Unreal. So I have this. And I'm going to want it from basically frame 124. 170, so pretty short but important shots. So let's just grab this. So I make sure I have nothing else selected but geometry. So I hide everything, no curves, nothing. And then go to cache, Alembic cache, export selection to Alembic. And I'm going to go into here. And let's go in here. So this is going to, what is it saying? It's not letting me export in Alembic. Let's try it one more time. I might have to export the spear separately. All right, let's try it one more time with the spear as well. So yeah, the spear does not like this Alembic. So let's just take a look. We'll export this guy separately, so cache Alembic. Okay. So now we just have two Alembic files, one for the spear, one for the body. So that's easy. And let's just open up Unreal and throw this into one of the shots. So the way we're working right now is I'm laying out everything. I'm not worried about it looking pretty besides composition in terms of the lighting. In order for us to get this done on time, I'm just kind of laying stuff out, editing the stuff, making sure the story is working, and then passing it on to Tran. She's making it look pretty.
Yeah, so I'm just kind of shadowing Miguel really tightly. So we're almost working on top of each other. Yeah, it's just tricky because we're trying to meet the deadline. Normally it's been fine, but lately it's just got to be careful we don't override each other's work.
So Netbug says the colorful aspect of this makes the dark turn even more unexpected. That was intentional.
Yeah,
So,
that's kind of what it's nice to hear that. That's kind of what we're going for. In terms of what we were doing in art direction, like we, if you've been around, you've heard us say this before, but we normally do more live action type of look stuff. But we decided we wanted to tell this story. We want to use Unreal, so then it became like an animated project. And then looking around at what is animated, like normally you think of like Pixar, Disney, and their stuff looks phenomenal. But we didn't, that's not the kind of story we want to tell. So we just tried to come up with our own look. And we decided it should be rough looking instead of like Disney and Pixar are very, very beautiful, very polished. And I don't think we could really compete with that.
especially because we knew that our weakness was going to be the animation itself.
Yeah, animation is very stylized. Like they're very bouncy. And we're not animators, so we have to have a mocap system. So it's like a look that cannot be like Disney because it would just be really weird and jarring, I think. So we just try to be different than that because it wasn't going to tie in together very well. So we decided to go rough and intentionally rough instead of polish because in order to pull off that consistency. So it's paid off, I think, going for the more rough look. I think it would be more difficult to try to go something very smooth and polished like Disney.
Yeah, well, while my Unreal is loading, I'll show you. Like for example, there's a scene here where she comes up to this thing, and you see this mask appear. So this is totally temporary. It looks really ugly here. So this hole is almost like something that could grant her whatever she wants. And when she says she knows what she wants, we want this to unfurl, revealing this thing over here, so you could see. These vines would just unfurl. It's just going crazy, crazy slow. Which is a shame. But yeah.
But that's what happens when you're streaming through directly from your computer.
Yeah.
It'll be okay. You guys can just wait for the final. It'll come out soon.
Yeah.
Right.
So let's get. Let me close this. by the way. The less things I have open, the better.
Yeah, all that's a strain.
Okay, so my GPU just crashed. So give me a minute. Tran, do you want to show something?
Sure. It's not really spectacular. spectacular. Let me just pull my screen. But yeah, it's not really spectacular type of texturing that I've done. But this is the mask that I made. I do think that there are some technical things to think about, though, because we are dealing with opacity maps, right? And I haven't really talked about much how you have to deal with it in Unreal. So in a VFX pipeline, transparent, you can have any type of transparencies that you want, and it will render out beautifully. With Unreal, it's very different. So if you try to, let's say, let me just create a new material here, and I'll just hide this one. Let's say I have some kind of red thing here, and I want to create some kind of opacity. Actually, let's just copy this. Okay. Now, if I were to look at my opacity map, this is usually fine on a VFX pipeline. What I mean by fine is that you can have gray values in here. So if we look at the actual values, we have some white, black, and then a lot of stuff in between. And the in-between values is what makes fabric look soft naturally, right? But in Unreal, the materials don't actually support any of the gray values. So if you plug it in, it will do something, but it won't actually read the gray values in the material. So the opacity maps are actually just really black and white and nothing in between. So what you can do if you are texturing this in Substance to actually replicate that look is just make sure when you set up your template a certain way. When I come in here, let's say I do File New, you have a couple of templates that you can use to support transparency. The font's a little, but one is PBR Metallic Roughness Alpha Blend, and then one is PBR Metallic Roughness Alpha Test. So we have Alpha Blend and Alpha Test, right? So there is actually a difference between the two. Alpha Blend will support gray values, and Alpha Test will set it to black and white. And you can actually see this in the setting over here. So if I go over my shader setting and I click up here, I know the icon's a little small, but there are two icons here. One of them is like a faded gradient. So that setup is to support maybe a film pipeline for your mask, right? And then this one here is black and white, and you can see how harsh it is. So we have a fade of opacity and we have no fade here. So first thing is, you could choose Alpha Test, or if you mess up, you can just change the setting to Alpha Test. I'll show you how different it looks. So right now I'm on Alpha Test, which supports something for Unreal. And if I change this here to Alpha Blending, you can see I have nice soft transparencies. These are small details, but they're very big to me. If you are working in materials and texturings or that type of stuff, you don't really want to cut corners with this type of understanding. So that's one thing. And that was a big deal because I had made my cloth and expecting it to look, if I look here and we have this backlit, or let's go the other way. Let's light this mask from the back, and I come back here and I'm on Alpha Blend. I'm expecting, this is what I'm expecting the fabric to do in a film pipeline, where light will, shoot through it, because that's what happens in real life, right? but it will not do that this way in Unreal. It will actually just do whatever I have here. So that makes a big difference for me and how things actually look and how lighting affects the surfaces and objects. In any case, once I know that, I set this to alpha blend. And then what I can do is I can compensate, color correcting my opacity map. So let's just come back here. This is my default. I put a levels on it. I sharpen it. And then that just forces it to be black and white. And then this is, the effect that I'm going to get at best inside of Unreal, but it's okay. I compensate it with just making it more translucent, letting light shoot through it. It's very different type of pipeline for me, but I found ways to work around it. A couple other things too that are technical, but important to me is that if you look here, you can see I have two UDIMs, right? 1001, 1002. So each one is a 4K map. So I have two 4K maps. So I have a ton of resolution on this. Anytime I texture any kind of fabric surface, I always have a lot of resolution. And the reason has to do with mip-mapping, right? And how much detail this has. So, if you look up close, you can see that there's a lot of detail in the fabric here. And I don't want to lose that. I want to make sure we have close-up shot that it's going to be sharp and have detail. Anytime it's high frequency detail for me, like fabrics, all my fabrics have a lot of resolution. I cannot get away with anything less than that. So just to show you what happens when we are less, for example, like if I drop this down to 1K, it looks like crap, right? It's not very good. We can see this at 2K, which is a little bit better, but it's not really what I want. I don't really want it to fall apart. So fabrics should always be, in my book, pretty high res, just so in case that, when you're coming close to a shot, you just have a lot of details on the surface. And especially if you ever want to see the fabric grain. Let's see. That's cool. That's some juicy fabric detail. If you are texturing fabric, this happens a lot with my students when they're working. People say it's tricky. A lot of times it's because you don't have enough resolution in your stuff and it just looks like a blob no matter what you put on it, right? So you just want to make sure you have that. A couple other things I did here. Let's get rid of these. Let's kind of break this down. Okay, so I put this fabric here, just laid it on top. You can see my edges are really sharp, right? So what I did is you can I'll just create a new fill here. And every time I create a new fill, I have the option to affect all these different channels. So I only want to affect opacity. And then what I did do is I set this to black, right? So now it disappeared. So opacity black, if we look at my channel, if it's white, I will see anything that's white, and anything is black, I won't see. Once I have this set up, and again, it only affects my opacity, I put a black mask, which turns it off. And in my black mask, if I add a paint and I paint anything white, for example, like that, and let's see, this is material view, anything white will, take care of the edges. Now, I don't really want to, I just wanted to do this quickly because we don't have a lot of time. So let's take a look here what I did. I know here that I wanted to have all the edges be outlined. So I could paint this by hand, or I can use like a generator that reads that. So the generator I use, I'll just create a new one. Add generator here is UV border. So what it does is just adds a white outline to my UDIM. And if you actually, UV your stuff clean, everything is really fast and easy. But if you're really dirty in your UVs, it's going to take longer. What this does is it just allows me to highlight that, and so I can adjust the distance. So with that, I had something like this. And then I just painted out by hand some areas I didn't want. And then what I did next is I created a fill, and I grabbed one of the procedural textures. I just tried this one out. Looks like this, kind of like stripes, but broken up. And then I just scaled this down, little like that. And then I set this to overlay, and I got this, right? And then I also, basically I did two of them. So I have one like this, and I have a second one here to overlap it. And then all that did was just give me cheap threading. It's not the best threading I've ever made, but I don't know, you can't tell. I think it's one of the things you feel. If I didn't have the frayed edges, it would look very strange in the shot, you know, and then you just have it and you're like, okay, that you just kind of feel that it feels softer, right? But it's a good cheap trick. It's a very fast trick just to get something. If I want to improve on it, I could just try laying out with some different materials so that they're not all pointing the same direction. I guess the only thing is that they're just very vertical. But again, at a distance, it's okay. So I have something like that there. And then what I did here is I wanted this to feel like a seam, right? Like where you fold two cloths together. So this was pretty simple. I created a new fill, and I only let this affect my height. So I only have my height channel on. And then I created a mask. Let's look at the mask. And then in here, I also added a generator again. And I went with the UV border. So I did something like this. And then I had to paint out all this other stuff. So for example, this is going to be pretty sloppy. Right. And I did awesome. But everything else was painted except for where I want that. I'm actually doing this kind of stupid and painfully, but there are faster ways of doing that. What I could do is I go to my polyfill, which is a masking tool, set to black, and it can fill little UV islands like this. Yes, so I was doing it pretty dumb. And then the rest of the stuff that has to be hand painted can just be done more quickly. So there's a lot of like tricks in here in how you work that can speed up your workflow. Again, let's fill this one here. Once I had that kind of border, I could give this a value in my height here. At 0, it doesn't do anything, right? So now I have something like that. And you can see that fold. It's a little bit sharp. So, you know, I can blur it by adding a filter. And then with that filter, it's empty. And I can add a blur that will allow me to extend that. Now, when I come back here, it's really soft. So I actually probably want to sharpen it. What I'm going to do is just duplicate this again. I'll put the paint on top here so it covers it. And then this one will be sharper. Now that's just overriding this. So if I change this blend mode to like screen, which is, you know, like Photoshop, it gives me kind of a sharper look on top of that. So that's what that passes there. I have my seam height. Then I painted stitches. That's probably the old stitch. I have a new one here. No, that's another old one. Here's a new one. The stitches end here because in the shot, what I actually ended up doing was cutting this open on the sides so it could relax around the face. So I just, you know, moved it. Stitches are very easy nowadays, especially in the latest version of Substance. You can create a paint material, paint layer, not a fill. And then if you just go over to your brush tab and type stitch, there's these newer tools, which if you have a pretty old version, it won't work very well. Oh, no, it's auto saving. It's actually really slow when it does that. Give it a second. I should turn this off. There we are. Okay. If I select a brush like this, you can see I have a really nice stitch. And this tool is pretty awesome because you can change the threading. And you can see it up here. So I can change this to cross straight and it'll give me something like that. So I just use that. It makes my life simple. Let's get rid of this here. The next stuff that I added here, I'm not sure what these are. Let's go over here. Is I added some folds just so it looks more crinkled and papery. This is pretty simple too. Basically, I added this fill here, just so you can see. It's just also a height. Added a black mask, added a fill. And then here in the latest version, if you type cloth, you actually have this map. So if you're a couple versions behind, you won't have this at all. I know some people don't want to upgrade to Substance, like upgrade with Substance. They want to stick with the old one. Adobe had acquired this, so it used to be algorithmic. But the new ones actually have really amazing things that they're actually improving. So I always say, you know, just use it. Now, once I have this here, it won't have any difference until I apply some height intensity. And I'm not really seeing it because the fold is too small. So I can just scale this down and all of this is tileable. So there's never any kind of seam. That's all I did here. And I just layered two of them just to make them feel more believable. One is fold A, which is smaller, and then fold B, which is a little bit larger. And then after that, I just had some paint patterns that I applied. So it's pretty simple. How are you doing, Miguel?
Good. I could go on.
Yeah. But that's it. I wish I kind of had someone tell me some of these things because it would save me time. So it's to not figure out like how you're doing with transparencies and stuff like that. Right. Do you want to take over?
Yeah. So all right. So as you guys saw, the actual stabbing shot, I didn't have it inside of Unreal yet. So for this shot, since it's such an important scene, important shot, I want to make sure that the evil tree is in the shot itself. So I kind of want it to be in the dead center, which I know is not, well, dead center doesn't really matter, but I just want to make sure that it's there, that it's very clear. The separation, one side being one sister, the other side being the other sister, and then basically the evil referee in the middle. So I think that angle right there works pretty well. I kind of like that she falls off screen. Not sure.
I kind of like it too because there will be a reveal.
Yeah.
Like if it happens so fast, you're like, what happened?
Yeah.
And then you don't catch it, but like that's kind of intentional.
So for this, I'm going with a 15 millimeter focal length. That way it's very wide. That way we can see everything. Downfall to 15 millimeters, everything is very much in focus. You don't get a very shallow depth of field, which is fine for this shot because I do want everything to be, everything is kind of important. Koa's reaction, which I haven't put her in there, is important. Her getting stabbed is important. And of course, the tree is important. So everything being in focus is fine. So it's a very short shot. I think it's like 50 frames or something. So once I have the position down, I'll go to the first frame and I'll just add a keyframe. And then I'll just go to the last frame And in this case, I'll push back as if it was on a dolly. So very subtle camera moves. Then I'll usually just set my keys on something like this to linear. That way it doesn't slow down or speed up anywhere in the shot. So that's something I'm always a stickler for. I don't like slowing down at the end of a shot, or that it feels like the camera is ramping up. The way I always figured that this would be shot in real life is there would be a guy on a dolly, there would be a grip grabbing the dolly and pushing it or pulling it in this case, and they would probably start further into the shot than they actually want, and then further out than they would cut and start beyond the shot itself. So they would never be slowing down. If they slowed down, that means they ran out of track, and I never like that. So I want it to feel like it's just a very clean push, which is what the cameraman would be trying to get.
Like run out of track, meaning literally the track that the camera is on, to give it the smooth pushback.
So some shots we get crazy on, but other shots we only want to do crazy camera movements when they're needed, when they're adding something to the story. We saw a short recently, I won't say any names, looked really beautiful, but every shot was just shaking. You thought there was an earthquake going on the entire movie. And handheld camera stuff is cool. We use it in this, but we use it when it needs to be used, not just on every shot.
There was a trend at some time where all the movies started doing handheld, and if you overdo it, I can't watch it because it makes me sick. So it shakes too much.
Yeah. All right, so that's good. So now let's find Koa. And I think I might be able to use part of the old shot, like the Alembic, I mean. So I'm going to look into my...
That's true. Cloverfield. It made me sick. I had to close my
but
eyes
Cloverfield
watching.
makes sense. Cloverfield makes sense because
It
it's supposed
does.
to be handheld. It's
I know,
supposed
but
to be like, that's the whole gag.
I remember seeing that movie having to close my eyes a lot because I was going to gag.
Yeah.
I get motion sick easy. So anyone who knows me well knows that.
So that's... I think it's this one here. Yeah. So I'll grab that, throw it in there. Hopefully, this works, but we'll put her in position. And what I mean by it works is, so I exported out a little section of an Alembic, which is for the previous shot when she's yelling at her sister to look out. So I just want to make sure, hopefully there's a couple frames at the end that I could use, that I could cheat and use, so I don't have to re-export another Alembic. And she's going to be far enough away that you won't even see much detail on the face or whatever. So put her back here. So
That angle looks kind of cool.
yeah, we could use this angle for something. This set has gone through probably... This was one of the first sets we built, so it has really come around.
Anytime I do work on that set, I just feel so tired of the set.
So it doesn't seem like it's going to work, which sucks. Let's see. Oh, that's funny. So I kind of have to cheat it, or else you don't even see her. She's going to be floating, but there she looks correct.
You know, if this was shot in real life, they would put the actor on like a box or something, an Apple box. People cheat their shots in real life all the time.
Push this over to the end here. Okay, so let's hide our wait, that's not it. It's this one here. Yeah, definitely this one. So let me fix that. So that's just setting all this stuff in sequencer. So we're going to want a performance of Koa back there that works for this. So let's get that going. So we'll save this going here. We'll open up the rig. And this will be a very forgiving shot to do because of how far she is.
Which is great. No shot modeling.
So I'll just go into my reference editor. And I'll just look at what mocap I captured. So it would be under the panic section. This is one. So I haven't even seen this since we shot it. And I'm just going to link this here. So probably that right there. Right. From right there, because that's where we ended up last time. So let's do 548. And let's just see how many frames we actually have here. So 91 to, so I'm going to do like 60 frames. Let's go to 6. So that should be more than enough. So now I'll just bake this out. Now I could remove the reference. So let's do that. So you can see the fingers are kind of screwed up. You might not even notice it at a distance.
I don't think you notice.
But
So-
just in case, I'll just fix it real quick. So we'll just go into our curves. Just select the hands here. I'll go into my animation layers and just do one for one hand. Another one for the other hand. Let's just go through the frames here. So you can see there's some interpenetration there. That you're not going to notice, so I'm not going to worry about that. I'll open up Studio Library very quick, where I've saved a lot of presets for my hands. And here I could just start, you can see really quickly, I could just grab this, select options, set key, select object, set key. So I'm matching what was done with the motion capture, but you can see the shapes are just looking really wonky. So by just doing that, the timing is going to be correct. The shapes are going to look much better. Like, look at that. Even scarier than the stabbed girl.
Yeah, those gloves for the mocap really like weren't really worth it, right?
Yeah.
So we got gloves along with our accent suit, which is like an add-on, and it was just so that we could have fingers. And then it's still crappy. So yeah, that wasn't really worth it.
I mean, I want to see how much of this is rigging related. Yeah, I don't want to trash the gloves just yet. But
they're stiff.
yes,
They're very thick, and even if they work fine. It's difficult for the actor to do natural movements because of how thick the gloves are.
yeah, it's like a little kid wearing like winter gloves.
Yeah.
Like their movements are just kind of limited because they're so puffy. So just fixing that real quick. Kind of wonky there. Let's fix this hand. And fist on the other one. Let's close that up. So I'm not going to worry about interpenetration because of the distance we're going to be looking at this at. Let's get some changes here. Fix that. Again, it's not going to be perfect, but she's going to be so small here that it's okay. All right, for the motion capture on the face, let's get give me 1 second. I'll be right back. I'm going to go get my camera, my phone, and we'll just record the face movement. 1 second.
Well, give him 1 second. Oh, he's back.
Okay, so now we got to do some sort of motion capture on her. All right, so I'm just going to open up my phone real quick, and I'll open up Mocap X. It's going to be embarrassing, but who cares? Screw it. So you got to see me perform. So let's see. There, I'll just do that. Boom. Copy it over. Now I have to email that file to myself, which comes in really quickly.
Well, it's more like he's making the face of it. It was like, hell yeah.
You know what? It's a reality, kids. The only reason why I turned off my camera when I ran is because I'm wearing boxers and I don't care. So, all right. So let's let me load this in here. Okay. So let's do shots. So just gonna save that. Okay. So I already have the mocap file, so you can see I'm able to send it to myself really quickly. So now I could just go to my mocap X reader and then just find the shot that I just did. There it is. So I need to offset it 500 frames, and there you can see the performance I just did. Boom. Look at that. Hand me the Academy Award, ladies and gentlemen. So let's offset the timing here. There you go. That works. Her expression changes right as she begins to run.
That works pretty well. You know how to like work your face.
Yeah.
It is. I say it jokingly, but it's not easy just to get the expression you want. You've had a lot of practice.
Yeah, the girls' faces are me. I'm all their faces. That's how I've done every single face.
But initially, like, and when we first started doing it, like obviously the technology works, but like you've ended up replacing those faces because they didn't really carry the expression you wanted until after a while you got good with knowing how that system works with this particular character.
Yeah, like
or
look,
both of them.
this is my nightmare right here. This is me trying to write phonetically one of the words. I realize I have the file open. Try to pronounce this really quickly as one word. Goyatoni kama utapenda. And this is actually more like GN. And this is it's kind of different. It's kind of tone. I kama utapenda. This is what I have to do all day. I'm like, okay, how the hell do I pronounce this word? How do I get it to do the performance that I want, the timing that I want? It has to match the dialogue of the actress.
And she's saying it really fast. So
She's saying it super fast.
This is scene where the spear is what is right to hit her. So she's saying like, look out, and then she's saying it frantically.
No, this one is not. This is when she raises the spear like to threaten her.
Okay, see how you like it.
But she says it insanely fast. So, and it's funny because I asked them to write it phonetically for me. And when they wrote it phonetically with their tongue in English. But when I read it, I'm like, that's not English phonetics. Like that, we don't say things like that. So I had to figure out the Miguel way. I'm still figuring it out. So anyway, let's get this out of here. So we have our face performance there. So let's call this action. Nailed it. Yeah. Hey, I never said this was going to be a cool behind the scenes thing. So we'll save that out.
These things always feel like
Eternity.
An eternity, especially if you know you're streaming. So
yeah. Included in the DVD, this would be like a DVD collection. There's so many episodes at this point that this would be like, you know, Looney Tunes greatest hits, like 40 years of Looney Tunes. All right, so there you go. My masterful performance. There it is. You know what? It works though.
Yeah.
So I would have rotated her head a little bit more, but again, I think it's going to be fine because it's so far away. So let's go to this right here. And I just import it right in there. All right, so this is funny. So our Alembic Import settings, merge meshes we've talked about. Base merge meshes will just make sure that everything is one geometry. Compression, I set it to no compression. And then this setting is funny. So skip empty frames at start of Alembic sequence. So I had mentioned a few weeks ago that they should put this on a t-shirt. And someone, Shannon Thomas from ILM, sent me the t-shirt that says skip empty frames. Skip empty frames at start of Alembic sequence. So they literally made the shirt and sent it to me.
So he's he's been working in industry for a very long time.
He was the cinematics modeling lead at Blizzard for years.
And now he's at ILM, but he has watched the stream in
And
order to know that super inside joke.
Yeah, so when he heard me say that they should make a t-shirt out of it, he actually made the t-shirt and sent it to me, which I thought was pretty awesome. So I got this in the mail. I'm like, what the hell is this? And then, it's pretty awesome. So thank you, Shannon. All right, so importing that in.
Yeah, I like the shirt too. It was really nice. Your sound disappeared? Your sound working?
Yeah, I'm just not talking. I'm just waiting for it to...
Yeah. To export or import.
Yeah.
That feels like an eternity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not even a big Alembic. So imagine this is like just a small character in 60 frames. And you're bringing in a crazy Houdini simulation of liquid that is millions of polygons and millions of polygons changing every frame. And it's a 400 frame sequence. You have to do the Alembic streaming.
Yeah.
It's still very crappy though, but all right, so there she is. So one of the things I'll probably do here is I'll just grab this here and just throw it in here. And then I'll go to this one that already has the placement. Let me see if this works. I'll just go to assign actor, Koa reaction. Yeah, so that should kind of swap out the position. Is that right? No, it didn't do it like I wanted to. Okay, it's okay. Oh. My sequencer closed, so let's hope this doesn't crash. And this is my biggest gripe with Unreal. Whenever you try to delete an asset, not whenever, but often, deleting something is where they make up for the real-time rendering. This could take a long time. So it's crazy. Like you could literally load it in a cube and then press delete, and they could take a few minutes. So hopefully it doesn't do that. But yeah. We get this all the time. So in the meantime, let me see if there's any questions. Have we tried Niagara for particles? Yeah, all our particles are Niagara. And even when we're bringing in the Houdini stuff, we're tying it into a Niagara emitter. So the way it works is it's bringing in the point cache into Unreal, and then it's being linked into Niagara. So everything for us is Niagara.
Yeah, we talked about in a couple of streams ago where you tried to do some kind of sim, like a basic sim in Maya, and that was just not coming in.
Just glitch. No, sometimes like I'll just stop talking mid thought, and it'll seem like my brain stopped, and that's so it's probably that. Let me see. So yeah, love the shirt. I love it. What else do we have here? Thank you. So this will be up in a second. Oh, Alex is here. I didn't realize Alex was here. Cloverfield. I like Cloverfield though. I'm a defender of Cloverfield. I liked it a lot. I think it was awesome. Neville did awesome.
No, it's cool,
Yeah.
but it did make people sick.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the shaky cam in general went a little overboard.
Well, it's like, you know, every film has every, you know, was a film have a certain look that comes by trend in time. And there was a handheld trend and there was a color trend. And around that time, I think everything was like blue and orange in film. And then all the posters were blue and orange.
Yeah, this is, you guys can see how crazy this is.
Yeah, that's true, right? The Blair Witch Project. Yeah, 10 Cloverfield Lane. It's not really anything like Cloverfield, though.
Yeah, they just like put a brand on it. Like it's just
Yeah, it's actually the background is like I think the script was called something else originally, like The Cellar, and it had nothing to do with 10 Cloverfield Lane. Someone had written a really good script, a writer, obviously, and the production company that created Cloverfield had purchased that script and said, "Look, we can turn this into Cloverfield." So, and then they modified, they purchased it, they modified it, and then made it fit into this IP, which made it sell more and made it make more money than if it was just a movie called
there's an
Cellar.
yeah, in my opinion, there's an R-rated version of Cloverfield Lane that is much better than the film that we got.
Well, yeah, I've never read the original script, but I'm sure it was messed up or dark.
Yeah, like that's
Yeah.
really creepy. Like I like the idea that there was nothing outside.
Yeah,
Right?
and if
I think that's much more interesting.
yeah, and it's not the first script to been like that. Like John Wick was not originally called John Wick. It was not meant to be branded like that. It was just a regular old man, more who was tough, but it wasn't Keanu Reeves. And then they rebranded it and made it
Sexy guy.
like more sexy and they made it into John Wick. So that's normal to take a script and adjust it to fit something else and market it in a way. But you know, that's why it's so successful.
Same thing. Okay, so it seems like it's about to finish. Same thing with like I Am Legend. The original book for I Am Legend, the short story, is really great. It's a big, fat guy with a beard, like a Harley Davidson type of guy.
Yeah, he was a completely different character.
Yeah.
So
okay, she's gone now. So I'm not sure why that happened. Why that happens, because it happens all the time, but that's the reality of it. So let's go back over here. Let's save this just in case.
Well, the other thing I noticed with Unreal, like sometimes the materials, like you open them up and like it's lost its normal map and roughness map. It will keep the albedo, but a lot of times, like I don't know why, but the materials will lose the assignment of the textures. You have to reassign them. We have a lot of objects, so
Yeah. Here's a
sucks.
little tip that we've been using a lot. So you can see when you look at our content browser, all my level sequences actually have a thumbnail on them. After a while, it becomes kind of hard to see, to remember what is what, or just if you just want like a quick way of just, I look at this and I immediately know what shots they are, obviously. So if you come over here to your sequencer, you can see the one I'm working on right now does not have anything stabbed. So if I come over here to sequencer and I press, make sure you click on your window and then you press the save. Right now, when you look at your content browser, you can see that that stabbed now has the thumbnail of your screenshot.
Yeah, it took us a long time to figure it out. We figured it out by accident.
Yeah.
But it makes a big difference because now you're not trying to look at words. You can just say, okay, that's that shot visually.
Yeah. So, okay, so it did actually copy it and place the position how I wanted it. So I'm not sure why it just got so crazy, but it did work. So you can see, boom. And let's have her start running. So I'm just gonna offset this right here. Now I might want to save the running so that I can have a shot of her reaction right as she falls before she starts running. So maybe I'll just do that. So do boom. And move it forward just a little bit. Like that. So I'm just moving the animation left and right to get the performance that I want. And let's take a look at it through the camera. I think she does need to run. And there we go. So let's save this. Make sure that everything is set to spawnable so it doesn't appear in every other shot. There we go. This is another thing that we've realized. As soon as we create a sequence, if we have like a sky and fog and whatever, just throw it into your sequencer right away, all the time. Throw in your directional light, your exponential height fog, just throw it in. Even if you don't use it, throw it in. We've noticed that we get a lot of shifting of this across all the shots unless we have this on everything.
Yeah. The other big trick thing to keep in mind is the HRIs don't key inside a sequencer. So like you can have a directional light in there. Once you put it in the sequencer, you can rotate it and it should only be rotated in that sequence file. But if you do this with an HDRI and you rotate it, it will rotate for everything else in your scene. So you can't actually key it in this version. Maybe they fixed it. We were working slightly behind in the version 5, but not the latest because every single time we update, all our lighting breaks.
Yeah. So I already have a preset for what I want to render. So you can see if I go over here to my console variables, I already have a few of them set up. So I'll just show you what those are. So I'm just going to put this here. The first one. That one right there. In Unreal 5, there's this issue where the geometry sometimes looks, it gives like these really weird black marks everywhere.
Yeah, that's all on the nanite mesh. Anything that has nanite, you'll have like black spots.
So I just always have that in my render settings in case I forget to turn it on. I don't. It'll just do it by default in the render, so I don't waste the render. This is another one. So motion blur quality, and oh, that's incorrect. So it's this right here, motion blur quality 4. Okay. This is another one that we're using to get better motion blur. And the last one. This increases the render time dramatically, but that's what we've been using, and it's been well. So I'm not gonna set these up for this. I'll just hide this actually, because I just want to render this really quickly to put it into the edit, but I just wanted to show you that. And let's just put this out into folder. That actually was correct. So stab. Put it in here. This should render fairly quickly because it's just 46 frames. Not very high quality. So it's saying 8 minutes. It's not going to take 8 minutes. It'll take 3-4 minutes. So again, we want her to have the helmet up or the mask up. And then what we want is a spear to push the mask into her face. So we're going to have to figure out how to get that to work. And the reason is because it's important that she's wearing the mask, because the mask is so such a symbol to her status over her sister. But we also want to show that she's closing her eyes, and that her arrogance in believing that she wasn't going to get hit and that her sister was not good at throwing is partially why she dies. So we didn't want to put all the blame on the other sister. And that's why it was important to us across the story to show that the other sister is just terrible at throwing. So this, we've already established it 3 times. In the beginning, during the chase, she misses every shot. Then there's a scene where she leaves the ceremony. She sees the symbol of the leopard. She picks up a rock and throws it. She misses. Then when she's practicing and she's trying to hit the little rock anteater guy, she misses again. So by the time she throws it to hit her sister, one, it was important to me that she has her back turned against her, so she wasn't even trying to hit her, right? And that's the only time she actually succeeds at hitting her. Now, you could say that the tree is the reason why that happened, yes, but I didn't want it to feel like she's a cold-blooded killer. I wanted it to feel like it was an accident.
Yeah. It's not direct. Like you don't see like magic thingies. But we're leaving that up to, the viewer to think.
I kind of did this with my sister when we were kids. Like, we got into a fight and I threw a number 2 pencil at her across the room, not thinking I was going to hit her, and it went right into her. Like, I feel so horrible. We must have been like 8 years old, 9 years old. It's terrible. But it went right into her leg, poor girl. So, had I tried to hit her, I probably wouldn't have. But it was the fact that I didn't really try to hit her. Just got it right on her leg. Horrible.
Yeah. It's almost done.
Yeah. So you can see it says elapsed time 3 minutes. It wasn't going to be 6 minutes like we said, or 8 minutes like I said. It's much shorter than that.
You know, I'm starting to get like super spoiled with these render times because now I'm like, oh, we got to render. Oh, it's going to take like 10 minutes. And I'm like, wait a minute.
We used to have 24-hour frames on the Ningyo.
Yeah, one frame.
One frame.
And now you can do a whole sequence and you
Yeah.
can work so much faster.
So let's minimize this and let's bring this into the edit. Yeah, or the evil forces of the hollow. That's exactly right.
Yeah. But we don't want to make it too on the nose.
Give me 1 second. So normally I could have Premiere open and Unreal at the same time, but when I do the stream, I cannot.
Yeah, I think it's heavy on your graphics card. Very heavy.
Yeah. All right, so let's take a look. Let's give it a second to load. All right, so let's look at that section right there. One second, our Alexa's gone crazy.
Sorry.
Baba nakutafuta, lazima twende sasa hivi.
Mkaka wako karibia unichome.
Sasa hivi ningetaka kukuchoma, ningekuchoma. Lazima twende.
Ngoja tuone kama utapenda.
Jaribu. Hata ungeanguka kutoka kwenye mti, hungegonga ardhi. Wewe si chui.
Tafadhali kaa kimya.
Kila mtu anakuchukia.
Na kuonya.
Wewe ni aibu kwa baba.
All right, so let's put it in. It looks like a winner. So just grab that, get rid of that. Let's import our lovely dead girl. That looks like a winner. So let's see.
Are you looking for the contact point?
Yeah.
I think you should turn the volume down. Very piercing.
What it is, I just have to turn this setting on. I turned this off during the streams, and it's just play audio while scrubbing, and that fixes it.
Is there an Adobe PR/Unreal Engine plugin? No, right?
No, not that I know. Let's look at the individual sounds here. So probably want to start it right around there. So I'm going to cut those few frames in front. Okay, this here is my stabbing. So let's align that right there.
You're aligning visually because when that peak on the graph shows you where it's at.
That's right, yeah. So that's why in Premiere, I'll pull this down so that I could actually see the waveforms.
That's handy. That's nice.
Okay, so that's good. Now let's look at this sound here. So there's multiple sounds making this. That's the brain.
The brain.
The skull, rather. You can see it's made up of a bunch of different sounds. This one here.
Yeah. And we'll have close-up shots too.
Poor girl. She asked for it, though. So let's put that all together.
It's good.
Lovely.
Sound makes a big difference.
Yeah. So let's see what this one is here. Okay, so that's her falling. And that's perfect. All right, great. So let's see that again. Let's adjust this. So we're using this grain here. So what we ended up doing a few weeks ago, we were talking about dehancer, and we ended up deciding to use dehancer for its color correction, but then we are using real grain on top.
So we went from Convert Pro, which is supposed to give us this old look, and then we switched to dehancer because the colors look nicer. And then both of those provide grain, but we decided to separate it.
Yeah, we just want or just real grain. So all right, so let's play that again and see.
Nani? Sasa najua ninachotaka.
Baba anakutafuta, lazima twende sasa hivi.
Mkuki wako karibia unichome.
Sasa hivi ningetaka kukuchoma, ningekuchoma. Lazima twende.
Ngoja tuone kama utapenda.
Jaribu. Hata ungeanguka kutoka kwenye mti, hungegonga ardhi. Wewe si chui.
Tafadhali kaa kimya.
Kila mtu anakuchukia.
Na kuonya.
Wewe ni aibu kwa baba.
Boom. We have contact. All right. So let's get this in here. So this is the vine. So when she says, I know what I want. And you can see this has a very stop motion feel, which we kind of really like.
Yeah, it's very rough.
Very rough, but we actually we're deciding we're just going to keep it. So there's no motion blur on this, but it just looks like some weird Polish animation or something. So I kind of like it. So let's put that in there.
Yeah, it's not smooth, but I think it works with our aesthetic. Like that's what I'm saying. The rough look pays off for us not going polished. Kind of get away
With anything.
with like this is not perfect, but it's cohesive.
If anything doesn't work, we say it was an artistic
Choice.
artistic choice.
Yeah, we did it. We wanted it that way. Yeah, the previous shot was kind of dark, so a little bit hard to see, but with this one now.
So probably cut around there. So this one's tough because it is very long. So what I'll probably do here is I'll place this guy up here on the top, lock that. save this because this, whenever you're putting in something like really deep into the edit, it could be disastrous.
Right, because you have to move all your sound and everything.
Yeah, I actually think I might rather do this later. I'm just gonna put a section of it because, yeah, there's no way in hell I'm gonna get that right.
Definitely works. Extra eerie movement. Yeah, that's nice to hear.
So for now, I'm just gonna crop this here because that's gonna be quite involved, and I just don't want to deal with that with a camera pointing at my face. It's just shifting like hundreds of little things. What the hell? Let's just do it. Let me just make sure I saved before because this will probably be a disaster. So that's locked. So this stuff doesn't really matter. So I should just lock these two. This is just like my the grain and
The border.
the frame.
Yeah,
I'll
so
lock those.
all our stuff is rendered a little bit larger, and then we just are cropping or adding that border.
Yeah, the other thing I have to make sure I align is the subtitles. So you could see here in Premiere, all the subtitles are up on the top here, which is actually really great. It works really good. So at any point, like let's say if I come over here, copy this, come over here, I could just paste it and it'll place it in the time, this vertical time. And now you could just change it to whatever you want. And then you have your subtitle and you could stretch that out or whatever. But obviously, since this is all in Swahili, that's a very important thing. So that's it right there. Just pull this out. So right around there. Okay, so this guy here moved, and I didn't want him to move. So I want that that trumpet to hit right there. So again, I'm going to use my waveform. That has to hit right there. Okay, so this is a little bit longer now, so I'm going to kill this off. A little bit later. Probably kill this right here. So you can see these are just the volume levels. So I could say around here, I want you to just die off. Okay, that's good. Let's see what else might have shifted. This guy here. Let's hear that. Okay, so that's just like wind. And now I have this die out around here. Okay, let's see what else we got. So that right there. I think it's this one here.
Now it's clearer, like that is evil.
Aka.
So it's this guy.
Sasa najua ninachotaka.
So at the end, she will get what she wanted, but not how she wanted to get it. So it's very much monkey paw. Also,
Yeah.
deal with the devil.
She'll get it in like the worst. This is not as bad as it gets, guys. It gets worse than this.
Yeah, this gets worse.
The story only gets worse.
As in more brutal.
Yeah.
So all right. So while that's rendering, let me see.
I wonder, I mean, we know what's going to happen next. We probably spoiled it, but I think at this point in the story, I wonder what people would think what they think how it's going to end. Or I could ask you guys, how do you guys think it's going to end?
It's gonna end with the father coming.
No, but what does the audience think? What would someone who's not like you or me?
Well, I think seeing this, it's you kind of know it's gonna end bad at this point.
I think so.
Winnie the Pooh's not coming to have a tea party with them.
Yeah, it's not like she's gonna take her mask. Like, ta-da! You did. It's all good. You just hit the mask, but I'm fine.
Again, it's Cain and Abel. It's Cain and Abel, and me saying Cain was probably an arrogant bastard and deserved to die.
No, Abel.
Abel.
Yeah.
Was it Cain?
Yeah.
Yeah. Abel was an arrogant.
Yeah, we named our
character.
characters after that. It's so obvious. Cain and Abel. So Koa and Allah, and Koa is our main character.
Yeah, we were going to change that because we didn't want to be that obvious, but
Like,
kind of liked it.
well, it's not like you just hear their names like all the time,
Yeah.
right? So
We want that's another thing is we always try to keep names short so that they take up a little bit of space on the script.
yeah, so we make up names. They all have 3 letters. So
Yeah, it's not a big deal for a short, but when you're doing like a feature script, you want to keep the name short.
the Ricardo tells us what he thinks.
Ricardo says it that
The anteater turns a zombie, kills everyone. That's how it would end. Ricardo, the anteater, comes back. Let's see what Avar says. She marries the pit and they live happily ever after.
well, that is actually kind of what happens. I don't know if they live happily ever after, but
Yeah, that's obvious. If you introduce a whole, it's like what they say in storytelling. If you,
introduce a gun, it better go off.
if you have a gun in your scene, it has to fire.
All right, so let's take a look at that with.
Nani?
Oh, did I put color correction on it? I did actually. I did. Okay, good. Okay, so let's try it. Let's look at that one more time. And by the way, when I play it like a million times, that's literally what I do. I'm not like say, hey guys, check this out again. Like this is how I work. I play it
This is the process.
1,000 times a day.
Yeah, but that's normal.
Nani?
So obviously the mask would be in every shot. The mask has to be in every shot. That's why she goes, that stupid mask of yours. Because that's her wannabe version of the real mask, which is what her sister and father have.
Sasa najua ninachotaka.
wanakutafuta.
That's that bug that drives me nuts. So you could see how it just keeps popping up. Oh, I hate it so much. Where is it? That right there.
That missing frame.
So media pending. It's not pending. It'll never load. You just have to disable everything and then re-enable it. When you do that, though, it'll sometimes break the render. So you have to render it again, re-disable it, re-enable it, and pray that it doesn't break the render again.
It's just extra time you don't have to be
Way
doing
too much time. It
Yeah.
sucks in real life. And when you're doing it on a stream, it's even worse. But this has never happened before with Premiere up until this version. Yeah, I really hate it. It's a kind of bug that is like your car blowing up. Like, oh, the car works fine, but it might blow up randomly. Like, this is enough for me to switch programs if they don't fix this really, really fast, because I spent way too much time doing this.
Yeah. Also, the whole thing of like looking at things over and over, that's really normal. Even if you're just doing visual effects. So, if you're working at a company, you have dailies, and if shot's done, you go there and you watch that shot on loop. So you've seen it like 100 times over and over. Catching any kind of mistake, you have to see it multiple times. The audience might not catch it, but that's just part of the polish and delivering something that as best as you can.
Yeah. Works. So let's try to find some weird sliding sound here. So we'll go to motion array.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's missing like some kind of gross, tentacly, slimy sound.
So give me 1 second. Let's find. I'll do this on the main screen. I just want to. Find something here. It's just the program is acting weird. Everything acts weird when we're doing the stream. So, my God. Just give me 1 second. So,
Here's a second guess from Elvira. She falls into it and dies, or something worse than death, like lives there forever. Yeah, I think it's obvious that she's gonna go in there, because it would be disappointing if it wasn't. Like you put a hole there, you have to go into the hole. It's just how everything comes down, like the nuances in that, which you guys will see soon.
yeah. So, let's see. I'm just looking for sliding effects. Let's just take a look at some of these.
Preview. 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 Preview.
So this is a curtain slide. This might work. So let me save that. And I'll show you how I'll work it. Okay, so that's that. So let's keep looking. That might work. We're gonna have to adjust it, but that might work. Let's see what else.
Preview.
That's pretty good.
Preview.
This kind of sounds snake-like.
Preview.
Just so you could see, it's gliding on snowy surfaces. It's the most unhorror thing. So you don't try to find exactly what it is you're looking for. Sometimes you have to look for something else.
Preview. Preview.
Like some of these might even work if you layer them. All right, so let's just try those for now. So let's just go to show and folder. And I'll just grab that. And I have this little thing called R&D, which is basically just my sandbox sequence. This is where I just go to test things, export things. So I'll just bring that shot into that. And let's go into our media browser. And I have a whole section called push, slide, and drag. So that's where I place these guys. So snow sliding. Let's start testing these. So that, just bring that. And let's just go to speed duration and bring it to 20%. Okay, and we could go over to effects control or effects. Let's go to pitch. Shifter. We'll bring up the pitch. Lower the volume. Speed it up a little bit. Let's lower the pitch a little bit. It's too high. Okay, and now let's get the timing so it doesn't start moving until right around here. It doesn't work yet. Okay, so let's keep that. That's fine. Let's grab it unaltered and let's just put that in there. That doesn't work. Let's do this one.
It's kind of fun. You're just kind of bashing together and seeing what you're getting.
Yeah. The key here is just keeping the volumes down. So slow this down as well. So let's go to like 70%. Let me hide. Let me turn off the pitch shift. I just want to see what it does. Bring this to 20. Okay. Let's see what. Let's layer that guy. All right, let's see what else we have here. I'm not crazy about it yet, but so we have this curtain slide. That one definitely won't work. That definitely won't work.
Because it has that metallic sound.
Yeah, it's that metal at the end that doesn't work. We have a long slide movement. Let's see what these are. That could work. So let's bring that in there.
What's kind of fun is you could do like strange creative sounds in this project.
Let's have it start fading out right around
Thanks for sharing
here.
the process. Thank you for watching Numbsculpt. Like a weird thing calling it Numbsculpt out loud. I mean, it's starting to feel better.
Yeah.
Kind of like that. It's a little gravelly.
Grab that. And again, we just lower this. And I want to make sure that they start fading out at the end, so I just lower the volume here because I'm just holding down Control to add a point. Pretty cool. The other thing that I'll try to do on some of these, I'll just go to like, let's grab another one here. Let's grab this one. And I'll put it in there. And I'll just go to speed, duration, and I'll just reverse it. Let's just see what we get. Sometimes we'll get something interesting, sometimes it'll be terrible.
I think it sounds interesting.
And then I could just go to this guy, copy the volume since the lengths are the same, paste it, and you can see we don't have to. So that's cool. So now let's look at, I know I have like some gross sounds here. Let's see.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It needs like some guts or some kind of like fleshy thingy sound.
So tearing flesh and bone. Let's see what this is. So that sounds great.
It sounds really gross.
So you can see the length is not enough, and I don't want to retime it. So what I'll do with that is I'll just double it up. Right click right in the connections here and go to apply default transition. So it blends between the two.
That's good. That feels pretty cool.
All right, so let's see what else we have here. That one's great. So let's just grab that, put that in there. Let's see what happens if we slow this one down. So we'll go to speed duration, set it to 50%, and we'll maintain the pitch so it doesn't go
deep.
Darth Vader, yeah.
I think that's pretty cool.
There's one here that's sounding a little too loud. Let's find it. So I'm just soloing these. That one's fine. I think it's that one. I'm not a fan of that one. It sounds too much like a shovel. So let's hear it. Make sure that I didn't solo anything, meaning only playing one of the frames, one of the levels or layers, I should say. Yeah, so one is on here. I could just pull this down. Okay, cool. Now let's do some of the wind sounds here. Make this very low. That works.
Yeah,
So
it does. I think that's cool.
now that we have that, just grab that. It's the exact length of our shot. So let me just start organizing these a little bit better. So lock some of these guys here. And let's take a look.
That really adds to it. It makes it feel like really evil and disgusting.
Yeah.
Like it's bad.
Taka.
So I need that drum to hit right when the mask is clear. So I'm going to do it right there. So let's get that drum beat.
The sound really makes a huge difference, I think. It tells you a lot.
So that's that drum. That's this guy right here. I use those a lot because I'm cheesy. But you can see right.
Ta-da!
That's my ta-da.
But it makes it clear. Like you. It's pretty bad. I mean, it's not even trying to put it like give it to her. It's like here inside the hole. Come crawl down here.
That's the point.
Come crawl down here and you can get this mask.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Sasa najua ninachotaka.
Let me get that voice placement to be correct. Not lining up.
Sasa najua ninachotaka.
Baba anakutafuta, lazima twende sasa hivi.
Mkuki wako karibia unichome.
Sasa hivi ningetaka kukuchoma.
That works. So
There's like, you know, at this point in the story, you know, there's a lot like obviously we rewrote the story and there's a lot of intention. Maybe it doesn't come across, but like I think like had at this point in the story, it's all going bad, right? She's gonna die. You guys have already seen that. But had Alec just came in there and just said, "Hey, let's go. Dad's gonna include you in the hunt. You get to come along this time," even though Koa is not really supposed to go. If you haven't seen the other streams, some of the stuff might not make sense. But had Alec just come in and say, "Look, let's go. You're invited," everything that would have been the end. That would have been it. It would have been a happy ending
It would have been a happy ending for both of them. It would
for
have
both
been
of them.
Koa's day because she's going on her first hunt as one of the leopards, and it would have been a great day for her sister who wants to become a leopard one day.
Yeah.
But-
So had she come in more
Yeah.
more supportive and not been angry that Koa is coming along because she didn't pass the ritual.
She's a gatekeeper.
Yeah, she would have had Koa would have had her wish fulfilled, basically, right? Just and that would have worked out for everyone. And instead, she wants this thing at the bottom of this evil pit because her sister is not inviting her.
Thanks, Ty. Yeah, it works. That sound works. So, but yeah, what Tran is saying is that's all part of the thing.
That's part of the story when
Yeah.
we write it. It's just hopefully you think like had at this point had this been different, destiny would have changed, but it didn't play out that way. Right.
Again, Abel was a dick.
Yeah, April was a dick.
Yeah.
Here's a guess. I think she goes down, grab the mask, pretend to be a sister, and bam, the hole takes her into the abyss. Well, that's a good guess.
That could be.
Yeah, but you guys will find out soon because we have to finish this very soon.
Yeah. But all right, so let me take a look at that. It works. So great. So I might put some like liquid dripping down. We'll see. But that's it for today. So we got this shot looking good, and we got this shot here. So there's going to be brains shooting out, and that's being done right now by Dakota.
Okay.
I need to fix that finger. It's broken there. But yeah. But all right, guys. So thank you so much for tuning in. Does anybody have any questions before we log out? So we do have Mongolian throat singing. We just don't have it in that sequence. But if you go to our ceremony sequence, this is all like.
Will it play?
Ndio watakaozaliwa mpya kama juu, na wale tu wanaokaa wana thamani ndio watakaovaa barakoa. Kulinganisha walio.
So there's our throat singing. So we have it. It's just not in that sequence.
Was it us? No.
The throat singing? No, but you know what?
I can't even sing like happy birthday. So.
If Tran sang, all my statues behind me would crack and break. So no, that's right.
Well, I don't think I'm high pitched. I just sound like shit. But
I know. I'm just but I'll tell you what. Some of at the end here, there's a bunch of people chanting, and some of that is actually Gnomon students. So my demo reel class, I bought them pizza, brought them into Ty is one of them. Ty is one of the voices that you hear in the back there.
Was Andrew in there at demo reel at that time?
No.
Okay. So he's got a smiley face. Okay.
But Ty was one of he's actually one of the really good ones because he had the deep baritone.
He's in there.
Yeah, he's in there.
Yeah, of course it was Ty.
So.
Anyway, thanks guys for, watching our stream and commenting. We really appreciate that. So we'll be back next week with more progress.
Yeah, at this point, most of it is going to be like this one. It's more like like editing stuff.
Yeah. Well, the stuff that I do, I've covered it before. But it's also, it would be redundant to cover again. It's also really boring. So I just do a lot of cleanup and stupid shit. When I get to lighting, I'll talk more about that, like I did in the previous streams. But yeah.
Thanks, Andrew. Yeah, it's gonna get prettier. This whole murder sequence at the end is gonna look really pretty once Tran goes in and makes it look good.
And I'll cover that. But the other things I'm doing is like rebuilding meshes, stuff like that. Like in the close up the mask, I had to remake that geometry, retexture it, things like that. So
Yeah, so this is like an example, and this is not even one of the best shots, but you can see this is how I originally laid it out. You can see how hideous that looks, and then Tran makes it look much prettier.
but I hate that shot still, even the polished one.
But that's just what we're doing. It's just I just got to get the story to work and then move along, and then Tran is just behind me, basically making everything pretty.
I'm chasing after him. Like, oh, we got to make this cliff piece now because that looks like crap and things like that. Or we have this mass shot. I got to figure that out. Things like that. So, but yep, we will be back next week and hopefully we'll have some lighting coming in.
Like Ty actually still remembers the Swahili. That's it. That's actually it. That's pretty
Okay.
good. All right, guys.
All right, everyone. We'll be back next week.
Yeah, and if you want to follow us, this is where we're posting updates and stuff. So check it out. And I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Thanks to Alex and Gnomon for making this possible.
Yes, thank you. We would not be doing this without them.
Yeah. So thanks, everybody. And let me kick this off here. All right. See ya.